After a day in which European leaders gave urgently needed solidarity and support on the world stage to President Volodymyr Zelensky after his extraordinary meeting in the Oval Office on Friday, he gave a wide-ranging press conference. His first public remarks really addressing what happened in the White House on Friday when he met President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. At first, he was asked if he thought he could salvage the relationship with the United States. Here's what he said.
As regards salvaging the relationship that you asked about, I think that our relationship will continue because this is more than relationships in one moment. We need to be open. Ukraine is not the largest country in the world. However, everyone can see how Ukraine is fighting for its independence and freedom. And we are grateful to the people of the United States.
He was then asked to react to some of the suggestions from Trump's inner circle that perhaps he needs to step aside if he can't fix his relationship with the US president. Here's how he tackled the question of his resignation.
If I am to be changed, and I'll hear, how can I put it, with what's happening with the support to change me, it will not be easy, because it is not enough to simply hold elections. You would need to prevent me from participating in the elections, and it will be a bit more difficult, so they'll have to negotiate with me. And I said that I'm exchanging it for NATO membership, and then it means that I fulfilled my mission.
He also said he was willing to sign the rare earth minerals deal, even though we've heard from US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that it is at present not on the table. And also, too, he struck a tone which was frankly conciliatory for most of it. Asked, though, directly by a reporter if he would apologise to President Trump, he didn't take that opportunity and instead gave an answer about Ukraine's dead and its suffering and how, in response to suggestions he doesn't want peace, he said he would love the war to stop, not just today, but have never have started in the first place.
CNN's Claire Sebastian is following developments. She joins us now live from London. Good morning to you, Claire. So what more can you tell us about or what came out of this summit and where do things go from here?
Well, look, I think it was very clear, Rosemary, that the summit needed to be more than about nice words. There needed to be an actual action that came out of this. So there you see this plan that's starting to take shape, perhaps led by the UK and France, to quote the British Prime Minister, to stop the fighting. We need to see a little bit more meat on the bones of that yet. What we know so far is only what's been reported in Le Figaro, which is that it could include this month-long truce, which would involve, as an initial phase, merely sort of the war in the air, at sea, and then to stop attacks on critical energy infrastructure, moving later to the issue of troops on the ground and on the front line. So that's what we know so far. I think there were two key audiences that Europe was trying to balance here. Number one, of course, Ukraine, to try to strengthen their hand, make sure that they were firmly at the center of this process, to try to build them back up so that they could build back ties with the US after that catastrophic meeting in the Oval Office on Friday. I think to an extent that succeeded. Certainly was helpful that President Zelensky met with the King as well on Sunday, perhaps easing some of the political pressure that the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has felt after offering President Trump that second state visit with the King. I think the second audience clearly is the US. It is very clear, listening to the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, that their pre-approval for this plan was sought. He spoke to President Trump on Friday night, he said, and on Saturday night. A lot of pre-work was done before the leaders met in London on Sunday, and so I think President Trump was party to that. And I think you do see in this idea of a truce perhaps some nod to the sort of the actions that President Trump has spoken about. He has been pretty clear that he didn't want to talk about security guarantees before there was a ceasefire. So the idea of a truce perhaps gets closer to that. But look, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was on ABC on Sunday. He said not a lot about this plan. He said he'd spoken to the British and French foreign ministers on Saturday, but he seemed to suggest that not much had changed in the US position.
There's some really significant breaking news to tell you about on the FBI front. The head of the New York field office, James Dennehy, has retired under intense pressure. He had tangled with the Trump administration over their demand that the names of all FBI agents who worked on or touched any January 6 cases be handed over. In a letter to staff earlier this month that we covered on this program, Dennehy had written this, quote, "Today we find ourselves in the middle of a battle of our own, as good people are being walked out of the FBI and others are being targeted because they did their jobs in accordance with the law and FBI policy." He added this, quote, "Time for me to dig